Today is payday, so let's budget my biweekly paycheck using the cashless budgeting system. Let's get right into it. So the very first thing I do, you guys, is take out my budget workbook. This is where all of the magic happens. This is where I track my spending. This is where I budget out my paychecks, and I just budget for the month in general. So the first thing I do is I turn to my paycheck budget worksheet, and I have to figure out what day am I actually paid on. According to today is May 23rd. I am actually paid today, so that's going to be the first thing that I do is put the date at the top of the page. The next thing I do is fill in the section of the income. My income is my full-time job, and then I also include my remaining portion. At the beginning of the month, I also include my side hustle income, but I don't necessarily include my side hustle income within my paycheck budgets. Now, I budget my paychecks at the lowest amount that my paycheck has ever been. If you've watched previous budget with me videos, you will see at the beginning of the year, your girl was budgeting $2,000, but your girl paychecks was actually $1,900. So in order for me to keep my budget always in the positive, I have to budget at the lowest amount that I've ever received. And we're going to go with $1,900 as my blueprint amount. That's going to be my budgeted amount. And I'm going to do that every single paycheck up until it changes to in the 1800s. But I was actually paid today $2,056.95. Now, like I said before, I use a cashless budgeting system. I just use different checking account and savings account, retirement account, investment account, all of the different things. And before I'm actually paid, I like to go inside of the account and see exactly what I have remaining. The reason why I do this is because usually when I write out my budget and I don't include what is actually left in my account, sometimes I'm in the negative and I'm like, hold up, this budget is not making sense because my account is not in the negative. And I was realizing it was because I wasn't rolling that money that was sitting inside of my checking account over with the new budget. So I had $706.73 remaining in my checking account, which gives me a total income for this pay period of $2,763.68. Now I'm going to get into the bills and expenses and basically explain to you how I separate these into different accounts. Starting off with my retirement account. Now this actually expense comes out of my paycheck. I don't have no say so over it. It's according to however much money that I get paid per year. And for retirement, I budget $108.76. Usually it's the same amount every single time that I'm paid. Like I said before, according to what my salary is. Now my salary did just go up, so this pay just actually went up as well. I think at the beginning of the month I actually budget $102.03 because I wasn't aware that we was getting a raise. Hey, that's a good thing because I'm always down for some more money. So now that I know that I am getting more money in my income, I know to adjust my budget accordingly when it comes to my retirement account. The next account is investing. This actually comes out of my paycheck as well. I have it set to 3%. This is optional with the post office. You can opt out of it. You can raise it up. You can put a certain amount or whatever like that. I do a certain percentage, which is at 3%. I'm doing 3% right now for this year because I'm utilizing the money that I have coming in to help me, pay off of debt, because that's my goal, to pay off of my credit cards and my collection account this year. And I needed to maximize the amount of money that I had coming in. So my investing account actually took a hit this year because I dropped it from 5% to 3% in order for me to cut some expenses somewhere, and that was one of the areas I had to cut. So currently this pay period I had to pay $113.79 towards investing. The next account is my savings account. Now, once the retirement and the investment comes out of my paycheck, the next thing that happened is money is actually deposited into my savings account and then my checking account. So at the beginning of the year, I create a budget that I want to have in my savings account at the end of the year. And by that amount, I have to take out a certain amount of my paycheck. So for me, my goal is to save $6,500 at the end of the year. And in order for me to do that, I need to put aside $250 every single time that I'm paid in order to meet that goal. So because it is payday, $250 actually coming out of my paycheck going into my savings account, and that's going to be separate from the retirement, separate from the investing, and it's just going to be doing its own thing in its own banking account, sitting over there in a high yield savings account. The next thing that happened is money is deposited into my main checking account. So this is what holds the bulk of my money. And when money is actually deposited into that account, this is where I actually pay out my bills. This is where I put money aside for fun spending, sneakers, and all of the things. So how do I do that? I do that because I have two separate checking accounts and two separate savings accounts as well. And I use one of the savings account as like a sinking fund. So anything that I'm trying to like plan out, such as sneakers, if I'm going out of town, or if I want to buy some clothes, I'm going to put money into that savings account. And the checking account, majority of my bills are on automatic draft. So the bills that are attached to that account just automatically comes out of it. So now I'm going to go through all of the bills and expenses that's going to be taken care of with that particular checking account. So the very first thing is aftercare fees, and this is a question mark. I did put a question mark on this on my monthly bill calendar as well, because I wasn't sure, because the company that my son goes to aftercare with, they changed up their pay scale. It used to be not pay scale. They changed up their pay dates. We used to pay on Mondays, and then they moved it to Fridays. So I don't necessarily know if the Fridays is for the upcoming week or the week that prior or whatever. So I'm hoping that it's for the upcoming week, and that way I know I may not have to pay that $120. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and set aside the $120 for aftercare fee, just in case I log into the portal and see that I have to pay it. The next expense is gas. I know every single Sunday I try to, fill up the gas tank, because work is coming up and things like that. However, I am on vacation, so I have a few days off, so I may not necessarily fill up the gas tank on Sunday, but I'm definitely going to fill it up on Monday, because I do got to go back to work on Tuesday. But we definitely got to put aside money for gas there. Then we have short-term disability, and that's $83. That comes out every other week. Next up is my Beat Life membership subscription, and that is $50. So that's supposed to come out on the 28th. And then we're rolling into the June finances. Usually I would just stop right there with the May budget, because now we're going into a new month. And then what I do is whatever money is left over in that account, I add that to the June budget, and just so forth and so on, and let it roll over and things like that. However, I'm just going to go ahead and break it down to you as well. So with my mortgage and utilities, which are combined into a separate checking account, I roll over $1,750 into a separate checking account, and that's where my mortgage payment and my utilities actually comes out. Now I share that expense with someone, so the other person put $1,750 in there as well. So on June 1st, we're gonna collectively have $3,500 sitting in that account and just waiting for the bills to come out. So the light bill is included in that, the water bill is included in that, the trash bill, the cable bill, internet bill, the cleaning fee, and credit cards is included inside of that $3,500. And usually we have money remaining in that account and just rolling over as well. And what I want to start doing is using that money that we have rolling over or left at the end of the month. I want to start using that to put inside of the savings account that is attached to that joint account, and building a home emergency fund. So that way, if something happened with this house, we don't necessarily have to go in our personal savings for those items. We can just get the money out of the house savings fund that way. Next up is gas again, because now we're still in June. That's going to be a Sunday, June 1st as well. So it's going to be time to put gas in the car again. Then we have life insurance on the 3rd, which is $13. And then we have my Apple storage, which is $9.99, because your girl storage is full. And that totals up to $2,598.54 with the total bills and expenses for the month of the rest of May and into the beginning of June. Now, I know at the beginning of the month, that's where I usually spend the most amount of money, because of course everybody has rent, mortgage, all of those type of things. But I'm okay with that, because I know that my bills are going to be taken care of at the beginning of the month for June, and I don't have to worry about it now. I can kind of like relax a little bit. I don't have to stress about knowing if my bills are paid, because I know on the 1st of the month, the money is going over there and it's going to be taken care of. So what I like to do now is I like to do what is called a zero-based budget, and basically that's me taking my income and subtracting all of my bills and expenses and getting that number down to zero. Now it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to have no money in the bank, because you already seen that I'm putting aside for retirement, I'm putting aside for investing, I'm putting aside for my personal savings / emergency fund. But now I want to know, how much money do I have to spend, because I'm taking care of all of the important stuff. And I'm the type of budgeter that I just don't want to be working to pay bills and doing the important stuff. I also want to have a little bit of fun. I love doing my budgeting. I love budgeting and stuff like that, but I also want to live a fulfilling life as well. I like to do things, and it's the summertime and my kid is on summer break, and it's time for us to have a little bit of fun. So when I take my income of $2,763.68 and subtract my expenses, which is $2,598.54, I am left with $165.14 up until the next time that I'm paid. Now, if I don't have to pay aftercare fees, then the $120 will actually go into this amount as well. And if I don't have to pay aftercare fees, I'm definitely going to be using that money for me and my son to actually do something while I am on break this weekend. You don't have to necessarily do things that cost money. There's a whole lot of free things that you can do, like, going to the Beltline, taking your kid to ride bikes, going on a picnic, things like that don't cost a whole lot of money. And my son is all for that. We love going to the Beltline and him riding his bike or his skateboard and stuff like that. Or us just going to the park and just relaxing and things like that. So we love free things to do, but I do want to take him and do, something fun that may cost a little bit of money. So I'm definitely going to be doing that this weekend. Maybe I will vlog it and show y'all exactly what it is that I do or decide to do. So stay tuned for that. If you see the video, then of course you know that I did not have to pay aftercare fees. But if you don't see the video, then you know your girl had to pay the aftercare fee, and I may not necessarily be able to do some expensive things, because the thing that I want to do, I think it's a little bit expensive, or it may not be that expensive. I don't know. I really haven't even looked into it now that I think about it. But that is how I budget my bi-weekly paycheck using the Cashless budgeting system. Let me know in the comments, are you planning on using this budgeting system? And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.